A very good morning to all of you students. I hope you're having a great time and helping your parents at home. Now, in our last class, we started with Never Give Up, Unit 1, right? Now, that unit is all about courage, discovering courage, what courage is all about. Now, last class, we learned about courage, its types. Now, what are different types of courage? Moral, social, creative, physical, and emotional. Today, through this story, that is a story of courage, we'll discover how a boy actually faces a very challenging situation and overcomes his fear with courage. So, before I start reading about this story, I would like to ask a question. Now, in our lives, we have come across different situations, right? Even you, as children, have come across different situations which were challenging, wherein you were fearful, you were scared to face that situations, but you dealt with it with courage. You dealt that situation with courage, you faced it, and you came out victorious. Just remember that time. How did you feel when such a situation was there? When you were scared and you were feeling really fearful? That was an unfamiliar situation. How did you overcome it? So, here, let's read the story about a young boy who travels to a new and strange country and has to come to terms with his fears and anxieties. Now, here, let's start. Harijit Singh sat on the bench by the carousel at the airport, waiting for his suitcase to arrive. He was tired and cold and wasn't used to this weather. In Amritsar, where he came from in India, it was 37 degrees. In Paris, it was just 14 degrees. His father called out to him, "Hurry up, Harijit. The driver cannot wait much longer just for you." Harijit was a little upset. He had not wanted to come to Paris. He wanted to stay in India with his friends. But because his father had received a job offer in France, they had to leave India and make a new start. Still waiting by the carousel for his luggage, Harijit looked curiously at the crowd of people surrounding him. Harijit suddenly felt like he was being stared at. He looked around and saw a boy who must have been 10 years old, the same age as Harijit. The boy was staring at his turban, which upset him and made him feel self conscious. Angrily, Harijit stepped up to the carousel and saw a bag that looked similar to his own. He snatched the bag, even though he wasn't entirely sure it was his. Now, here, as I told you before, that this lesson is about a young boy, Harijit, who travels to a new and strange country, that is Paris. So, Harijit was upset as he didn't want to come to Paris. He wanted to stay in India along with his friends. So Harijit felt anxious at the gaze of a boy almost his age and left the airport. So here we can see that there is a boy here who is waiting at the airport. There are different passengers who or travelers at the airport waiting for the luggage at the carousel, right? And this is the boy probably who's gazing at Harijit, due to which he's feeling a little upset. All he knew was that he wanted to get out of the airport and away from inquisitive eyes. As they drove to their new apartment, Harijit glared out of the car window and took note of how different everything looked compared to back home. It was cleaner. There were clusters of very beautiful big buildings with gold paint on them and statues on top. The sky was very grey and the ground was wet with rain. He saw lots of people sitting outside of shops drinking coffee and talking. When the car stopped at a set of traffic lights, Harijit rolled down the window so that he could listen. They talk very strange, he thought to himself. But he knew that this was all a part of the experience. You will benefit from this experience, his papa had said. They set off from India. So many of your friends would die for the chance to travel to Europe. You should not be scared. It is an adventure. Now, if you see that Harijit is a little scared and he's also intrigued by the cleanliness of the place, the sky, the ground, the people, the language they speak. He is just amazed at it. But his father does encourage him and tell him that this experience will be really enriching for him. So here he gets courage. His father is talking about courage. Next, as the car rolled on, Harijit realized that there was a strange sort of silence on the roads. The cars are not beeping their horns at each other in Paris, he thought. There are a lot of cars, but they are all driving neat lines, all in separate lanes. The cars aren't getting stuck at all, they just keep moving. It is not at all like this in India. They continued to drive through the city, and soon they passed a strange, imposing metal building where groups of people were standing and taking photographs. I wonder what that is. Harijit asked nobody in particular. Maybe it is something like the Golden Temple or Taj Mahal, where people from all around the world come to take pictures. Suddenly, the car stopped as a man on bicycle crossed the road in front of them. The man waved to say thank you, and the young boy had to laugh to himself. This is a very strange country, he thought, where cars stop for people to cross the roads. The family soon arrived at the new apartment, and Harijit's father told him that he must go to bed very soon as it was already late and he would have to enroll at school the next day. Harijit sulked off to his new room and closed the door behind. But as soon as he was inside, the young boy was once again amazed at his new surroundings. The room was extremely large with huge windows all along one wall. The ceiling was so high that not even Harijit and all his friends piled one on top of another would be able to reach up and touch it. This thought also saddened the young boy because it made him miss his grandparents and his friends. Not knowing what else to do, he jumped onto the bed and sank his head into the pillows and cried himself to sleep. Now, here we see that Harijit is amazed to see big buildings, statues, cafes, and cleaner surroundings while he sat in the car. He was intrigued by the manner in which traffic moved on roads. Unlike India, he, along with his family, arrived at the new apartment wherein Harijit went to bed soon because he had to wake up early the next morning to enroll himself at the new school. The following morning, just before dawn had fully broken, Harijit awoke and realized that it was not a bad dream at all. He really was in Paris. He crawled out of bed and looked out of the window at the few people below. It was all so different from Amritsar. He missed the constant noise from the Golden Temple, the people and the cars and the rickshaws. There was something very comforting about the noise. He was used to it and missed it already. He decided to look at the photos of his friends and family which he had brought with him. He sat on the floor and crossed his legs and pulled his bag towards him. But just as he began to unzip the bag, he noticed that he had a small keyring attached to the zipper in the shape of the tall building that he had seen the previous evening on his drive from the airport. And when he opened the bag, there was a flash of gold, just like from a pirate's chest, and inside he saw something shiny and familiar. The bag contained an icon of the Golden Temple and one of the Taj Mahal. There was a collection of objects from India too, which made him feel even more homesick. He lifted the icons from the case and kissed each in turn before returning them safely to their home. He was thrilled to see such familiar objects from his beloved India, but he was also scared. This is not my bag. How am I going to tell Papa that I took the wrong bag from the airport? Suddenly, a voice called out from the hallway. It was Harijit's papa. Harijit, wake up, my son. It is time to get ready for school. I hope you are excited about making new friends, learning a new language, and trying new food. There is so much for you to experience, Harijit's father said. So here we see that Harijit woke up and decided to look at the photos of his friends and families which he had brought with him from Amritsar. But to his amazement, as soon as he opened the bag, he was amazed to see the photographs of the Golden Temple and the Taj Mahal and various other Indian places. Although he was very delighted to see these pictures, but he was also scared because this was not his bag and he had taken the wrong bag from the airport. So here we see that Harijit faces a challenging situation, one of the challenging situations here, wherein he realizes that the bag is not his. Harijit's father appeared in the doorway with a big smile on his face. Do you remember how we talked about this? He asked his son. This is a very exciting day for you. Harijit looked up at his father with sad eyes. But, Papa, yesterday the boy at the airport was staring at my turban. What if I have to cut my hair? People here don't smile very much and everyone talks. But I don't understand what they are saying. They do not even speak much English, which I might understand. Better because I learned that at school. I just want to go home. I don't even have my own clothes because I took the wrong bag from the airport. With this last confession, Harijit ran towards his father and began to cry in his arms. Don't worry, son. You wait and see. Today you will be fine. You must be brave and have confidence and believe in yourself. Now you get dressed and come and have some breakfast with your mother and I. I shall ring the airport and we shall soon have your bag too. You will see. When breakfast was finished, Harijit was in a much better mood. He kissed his mother and dashed out of the door into the car so that his father could drive him to school. When they finally arrived, Harijit noticed a swarm of children standing outside the school gates. They were all dressed in smart uniforms. They all spoke French, and not one of them was wearing a turban. The young boy suddenly felt very nervous again. When his father noticed this change of mood, he held out his hand to his only son and said, "Come on, let's go in and take a look around. We have nothing to lose in just looking." And he smiled as he said this, like it was all a big adventure. This made young Harijit feel much better. As they walked down a long corridor, Harijit noticed row of pictures of big metal building pinned to the walls all around. He thought about the little keyring on the bag and of all the people taking pictures with their cameras the previous evening as they drove from the airport. The building must be something very important here. Harijit thought to himself, "I wonder what it is called." While they were sitting in a large reception room waiting for the headmaster to come out and see them, Harijit noticed a boy sobbing all alone in the corridor. That is the boy. That is the same boy that I saw at the airport yesterday, thought Harijit, barely able to contain his surprise. That is the boy who was staring at my turban. So we read here about that Harijit narrated the whole story to his father about the bag that got exchanged at the airport. And in turn, Harijit's father called up the airport authorities to inform. Later, we see that Harijit, along with his father, went to school. And Harijit saw children who were well dressed and all spoke in French. And to his surprise, no one actually wore turban, due to which he became really nervous because he didn't see people like himself. There we see that his father encouraged Harijit. He encourages him and makes him realize that it's very important for Harijit to be confident and to feel happy about the new beginning, because there he has nothing to lose. It's all new to him. The new school, new friends, it's all like an adventure. So he should be really confident and should feel happy about the new beginning in his life. As Harijit and his father waited outside for the headmaster, he noticed a boy who was crying in the corridor, and we see that he immediately recognizes the boy as he's the same boy that he saw at the airport the day before, and he tells his father about him. Harijit pulled on his father's sleeves. "Papa, look, that is the boy, the one who was staring at me yesterday." "Then why don't you go and say hello?" his father suggested. "Some people are just curious, they do not mean any harm." Harijit decided to be brave, so he walked up to the boy and smiled. The boy looked a little embarrassed that he had been caught crying. "Hello, my name is Harijit. I just arrived from India yesterday. Do you speak any English?" The boy hesitated for just a moment and then he said, "I do speak a little English. I'm Pierre." "Why are you sad, Pierre?" Harijit asked. It was then that Pierre went on to explain how he had also just arrived from India after a family holiday. "I'm supposed to give a presentation to my class tomorrow so that I can tell everybody about what I saw in India and show them all of the things I collected along the way. But I lost my bag at the airport and now I don't know what to do." "I don't believe it," exclaimed Harijit. "You are lucky. I think that I have your bag at home. I took it from the carousel by mistake. You are the boy from the carousel? That's me, said Harijit, pointing both his thumbs at his chest with a smile. Using their broken English as best they could, the two boys managed to have quite a conversation, and after a while, they both cheered up considerably. Pure was very relieved to have found his missing bag, and Harijit dashed over to his father to tell him everything. Now, we see that Harijit told his father about the boy. His father insisted that Harijit should greet the boy nicely because there is no harm in it. So Harijit courageously took the first step and introduced himself to the boy. And the boy also responded to Harijit and told him his name is Pierre. So here in this picture we see that Harijit with both his thumbs point telling the boy that his name is Harijit. So Harijit asked him the reason of being sad. To this the boy replied that he had lost his bag at the airport and his whole collection was in that bag, and he has to make a presentation which he will not be able to make since the bag is not with him. So Harijit told the boy that that bag was with him and he had taken it by mistake. This way they started their conversation in broken English and they became friends. That day, Pierre made sure that Harijit knew all about what to expect from his new school, and he introduced him to lots of new friends. During lunch break, Harijit asked about the imposing metal building he had seen the previous evening and all the pictures at school. That is the Eiffel Tower, Pierre said, barely disguising the pride in his voice. It was originally built for a world exhibition to celebrate the French Revolution, but these days it is an amazing tourist attraction, and my mama says that it is one of the most romantic settings in the world. People come from all over. At the end of the day, Harijit arrived home to tell his parents of his wonderful experience and all the things he had learned and shared. Papa, I didn't think that anyone would be interested in what I have to say or where I come from, but I was wrong, and you were right. It is an adventure. That night, as he stretched out on his new bed and listened to the gentle rumble of cars in the street below, Harijit was almost too excited to sleep. Pierre had asked him to stand up in the class the next day and help explain all about India. He had met so many new friends and he looked forward to learning about life in France and speaking a new language. He still missed home, but he had begun to understand how a little courage, a little understanding, and an open mind could help him grow as a person. This was indeed the start of a whole new adventure. So, here we see that Pierre introduced Harijit to all his friends and also told him about the Eiffel Tower. Harijit became happy for the new friends, new experiences his life was coming up with every day. He learned that a little courage, a little understanding, and an open mind would help him grow as a person. So, in this story, we learn that if a person is courageous enough to face situation and is confident, has an open mind, he can win and also overcome his fear and anxieties, just like Harijit did. And now he is enjoying his stay in France and looking forward to his life there.